Have you heard of World of Warcraft? You have? Well, that's not surprising, as it's a game that's old enough to vote. But if you haven't heard of it, there's still a good reason why you should keep on watching this video. Also, if you entered the contest in the last video, be sure to stick around for the reveal of the winner. Hi, I'm Takras the Northman, and today we'll be checking out Pandemic. That's right, I said pandemic. Not COVID, but Pandemic, Wrath of the Lich King. The Pandemic came out in 2008. And yeah, I'm still talking about the board game. This one. Designer though, Matt Leacock, designed a game system where all players were together, traveling all the world in search for and the eradication of 4 deadly diseases. Now, the game took on the world by storm, selling thousands upon thousands of copies. And today, well, we're talking millions. Eventually, Matt Leacock and other designers came up with new ways to explore the system, incorporating themes into the mix. We can now fight cults of Cthulhu, fight cholera, malaria, and more in 1848's Iberia, and even make the Netherlands safe from the sea levels rising in Rising Tide, and even stop the fall of the Roman Empire. All these variants have their own little twists, making each installment feel a bit different from the rest of the games. But now, it's time to face King Arthas and fight the scourge he controls before Northrend falls to his demise. Because, you know, he's actually dead, but somehow alive and kicking. Yeah, this is definitely a fantasy game. And back in the days, I played World of Warcraft a whole lot. From the early beginnings, leveling up multiple characters and beating all the big bosses in teams of 40 people cooperating at the same time. But actually I stopped just right before the expansion with the Lich King. I just had enough. Also, I had a family by then, but I don't see how that is relevant to anything. Anyway, what I do know is the backstory of the Lich King from now ancient Warcraft 3 game. Do you need to know his backstory though? Not really. The TLDR version is that he's dangerous and must be stopped. Now, you party up with great heroes from World of Warcraft, heroes from both sides of the conflict, and some that I don't even think have an allegiance, like Tyrion Fordring. I don't know him. So these are sworn enemies that now work together against this new threat, and nothing makes for a better friendship than something you both hate, right? It's like a circle jerk on social media, except for this time it actually matters. If you played any of the Pandemic games, you quickly recognize the signature traits like various play powers from all these characters here, a map with locations and connections between said locations, and action cards like this one, and cards that spread the bad stuff. And yet, Wrath of the Lich King is unique, and it brings something that just makes this my favorite of the Pandemic game series. And I'll try to explain why. Now, in Pandemic, Wrath of the Lich King, it's going to wear out fast. Let's just call it the... Okay, sorry. Lich King. Yeah. In Lich King, you're going to be around this continent here called Northrend. And it's because it's in the north, I guess. Trying to stop the scourge, these small figures here, from spreading across the land and just consuming everything and destroying everything in their path. Now, as I said, you take the role of one of these mighty heroes here, you find, and you fight your way through this continent here and fight the scourge and go on dungeons, actually, and finally defeat the Lich King himself. Now, if you played WoW, you'll appreciate the heroes in this game here, but whether or not you're familiar with WoW or not, you can easily see the heroes and how detailed they are and how various they are, and very unique as well. So it's very easy to get into the game without knowing anything of World of Warcraft. My favorite power has to be the Chain Lightning from Thrall here, which just simply strikes all the undead across nearby his location. But there are other useful traits, like preventing the scourge from being placed nearby a hero, or healing extra, or moving for free. There's a lot more, and these various powers just make the game fun. More importantly, makes your character feel special. If you actually manage to defeat the Lich King, you won. But, as with every other Pandemic games, there are more ways to lose than to win. Every round, the Scourge will spread out the board, using these bad cards here from the normal Pandemic games. And if you run out of those figures, you lose very fast. And by the way, those cubes from Pandemic, look at these tiny creatures, they're so much cooler. By the way, I have painted mine version because I just like the game so much. so this isn't what you get when you buy it, but the figures are very cool nonetheless. The second way to lose is by running out of action cards, like this one. You're just too fatigued, it's just too much to do, and even for the mighty heroes, you just can't even. And finally, if your heroes are at 0 health, that's right, you can actually lose health here. The death-o-meter, this one over here, will go down fast, and you lose that way as well. So if you want to win, you have to work together. You know how I said that these sworn enemies now have a perfect opportunity to work together? And well, just imagine that your enemy, your sworn enemy, stands with the back towards you, and you have a knife in the hand. Well, did you imagine just stabbing him in the back? Well, too bad you can't! Well, in fact, you're so devoted to the task of defending the Northman that there's no room for at all to backstab or betray your group. This game is 100% cooperative. Now, speaking of winning, I had a contest up in my last video with the unfathomable review. And as I promised, I would announce the winner in this video. So I went through some of the entries and I commented on them. And you can see that on my Patreon page if you want. Link in the description below. The winner was Eric Joheim. Congratulations. Hope you like the game. So, back to this game. Another thing I like about this pandemic over its siblings, there's no reason to trade cards with other players. There's no set collection to find a cure, and that by itself is extremely liberating. It was my most disliked mechanism from the normal pandemic at all. It never made any sense. It's like I want to download these updated rules from Carcassonne. Okay, so the only way to do that would be for me to travel to Carcassonne City and arrange to meet up with that person who has the PDF file on a USB drive and to be there the same time as me to physically hand it over to me. And yeah, the previous owner who had the copy of the PDF, he doesn't get to keep a copy because for some reason internet doesn't exist or something. It's just mind-blowing. None of that here. Now, instead of the disease spreading out, there's not a scourge that will just spread out this Northman and summon these ferocious abominations who are just much harder to fight. And there are also just 3 of these figures, so if you can't leave them alone and you need more, well, you'll lose. So you'll see the scourge force growing in numbers, and you can easily see the threat, especially the lacking figures here in the supply. It's not difficult to kill them alone, but when there's a crowd, it gets a lot harder because you can actually die, you know. And this is a danger you can actually feel in the game because just presence on the board. So you want to hunt them down and thin the herd. And to do so, you roll the dice, which is completely new from the original pandemic. Now, these dice have icons for attacking and defending and blanks. And you can boost these symbols with cards from your hand, matching those icons. We have the axe and the shield here. And it's like bringing a gun to a knife fight, and there's a bit of a distance to your targets. So it gives you a bit of an edge, you might say. Chucking those dice and inflicting damage just feels great. Now, the enemies are objectively bad, and when you just chuck those dice and play those cards, it's joyful, actually. Now, the dice add excitement and uncertainty, and I really like this new addition. You are aware of the odds, but it's not until those dice are actually flicked that you get to feel the impact. On the dice, you have the 2 icons, the gauntlets. It takes 1 undead per icon, and you have a shield, which reduces damage you take when they fight back. Because, yeah, they do fight back, and you can take damage. So being a hero is putting yourself at risk, and you're not invincible. In fact, you're putting yourself in the middle of a battlefield, and you're mortal and a prime target for all the foes around you. So when you attack the enemies around you, they will fight back with any remaining forces, and, well, you lose health. And to make matters worse, if the Lich King is in your region, you take more damage. So he moves about the continent, and wherever his presence is more dangerous to you and your team, and to fight and do quests. So killing the Scourge doesn't alone help you win the game, but they do make the path easy to walk. And if you ignore them too long, you'll end up being overrun and, well, lose. So you kind of want to win, right? So to do so, you finish these quests 3. Number 1. What is the airspeed of an unladen swallow? Well, shenanigans aside, there are 3 actual quests you have to complete before you can beat the final foe. Now in these quests you also roll the dice, and you may advance a token along this track with icons on it. In addition, you can just show some cards from your hand and take them back. You get to keep them. Yeah, you don't have to spend the cards to do the quests, which just sounds way overpowered compared to the older pandemics. Now, there are only 3 different colors of regions in WoW, green, red and purple, compared to the original 4, and there's 1 random quest in each region. And they might also affect the region they're in by certain effects, making it harder for you to fight and actually do the quest itself in the region. And on top of that, if the Lich King is in the same region, yikes! Player completing the quest gets a mighty boon to help out later. Once all 3 quests are completed, Arthas, the Lich King, will regroup in this castle of his, and now you see the wall is gone. It's quite a nice visual effect, and he's actually accessible to kill. And now the heroes should gather up here and fight. So the Lich King is fought as any other quest, by moving a token down this track, and with every other quest, other heroes can help with the progression. If you get the marker down to the end here, you won. So what I liked about this game, compared to other Pandemic, is it's easy to immerse yourself in this universe as you're traveling as a hero throughout the lands and fighting the baddies. You get to battle against them, and the outcome is far from determined, but you actually have a small degree of control, or a sense of it anyway, so your choices feel like they matter. Now the threats come across as real, and the heroes have a distinctiveness to them, so they feel special as well. You can clearly see the growing enemy forces and the time ticking down, and your actions often seem actually impactful. Now the quests, on the other hand, are a bit too abstract to my liking. You just reveal cards, throw dice, and you just move a token down this track with matching symbols, and repeat until you've completed the end. Hey, exciting! And sadly, they've done the exact same mechanism for the final boss, which is a bit underwhelming. Here we are facing the biggest foe in the land, and you just symbol match to win. Now, thankfully, you put your figures on this pedestal here, and it makes for an awesome Instagram opportunity. It looks cool. I'll give him that. My eldest always picks this hero because he's the most awesome looking, according to him, for this final epic moment. Overall, I'm very happy with Pandemic Wrath of the Lich King. It plays fast, it captures the theme, the fantasy setting, in just the right way, and the combat system is easy to learn and enjoy. Also, it doesn't feel like regular Pandemic. So you do see the mechanisms, sure, but the sum product is something very different. Something more wholesome. You get to journey around the continent, delve into those dungeons and beat up those baddies on the way. So the miniatures help a lot. Cubes just wouldn't cut it in this great fancy adventure. So let's say you're having a hard time finding friends, or simply enjoy playing by yourself. Well, you're in luck, because this game has rules for soloing this adventure, and extremely easy to implement actually. Now you have less hands management, and more of what is important in the solo game, action phase. Now with the exception of Pandemic the Cure, which is a whole different game, this is the Pandemic I'll bring out to play. So high scores on me, 9 out of 10 actually. Yeah. So thank you so much for watching, and as always, please leave a comment, press the subscribe button, and please check out my Patreon page, and well, share this with your friends. That is really helpful for me and the YouTube algorithm, which I have no idea how it works, because you can just see my views down there. Help me get it up, okay? Thank you for watching. See ya.